Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to spend a little time with me today. Always appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about the best lures to use based upon the water temperature of the year. There are different categories of lures based upon that you can go through every water temperature that you have, and there's certain lure categories that are going to be a lot more productive in certain water temperatures. So we're going to go over what all those are in today's video. Also, guys, before we get started, a quick reminder, we got just about a week left in the Tackle Warehouse Black Friday sale and the Solarbat Black Friday sale. If you guys want to take advantage of that, you can get, on the Solarbat sale, you can get, if you buy a pair of Solarbat sunglasses, you get a second pair at of equal or lesser value free, so basically 2 for 1. And then the Tackle Warehouse deal's got 20% off on about everything towards the end of the month by the end of November. So if you guys would like to take advantage of that, I'll put both of those links in the description of the video, so really appreciate that. Okay, what I sort of want to do here is what we'll do is we'll go through the different phases or the different temperatures you have at different times of the year. Starting in the winter, we'll talk about the best lures to use based upon the water temperatures that you have, because to me, it's like, if you guys watch much of the channel, guys, a lot of the stuff that I talk about is water temperature and water clarity. And once you understand the impact of water temperature and water clarity, it gives you a good idea of what baits you need to start out with and what are going to be the most productive baits. So water temperature, and water clarity about 50-50. But in today's video, we're going to talk about water temperatures per se and that. Okay, first of all, let's talk about cold water. Now, when I talk about cold water, I'm talking about water temperatures under 50 degrees. And probably, I'm going to guess, I bet probably 75% of the country throughout some point in the wintertime are going to have water temperatures in the 40s. Could be low 40s, could be upper 40s or whatever. But your best lure categories when the water temperature's in the 40s, there is some correlation with water clarity. I don't really got to get into that, but the best lures that you're going to find 40-degree water temperatures are going to be like your jerk baits, your small swim baits, your spoons, your Alabama rigs, possibility of maybe some crankbaits if it's in the upper 40s. Finesse stuff like little finesse jigs can work good. But basically lures that, don't move real fast through the water column. And also, one of the things that you'll find out, guys, in a little bit colder water like that, or when the water's in the 40s, is they prefer a little bit smaller lures. So any of those lures that I talk about, if you're fishing them when the water temperature is in the 40s, try to stay on the small size rather than the larger size. Now, when the water temperature gets up in the 50s, this opens up a wide range of different techniques, anywhere between 50 to 58, 59 degrees. In my own personal opinion, I think that when the water temperature is in the 50s, that probably is some of the best fishing you're going to have all year as far as quality fish. Now, when the water temperature gets in the 60s, the numbers maybe go up, but when you have water temperatures in the 50s, which is usually twice a year, sometime in the early spring and then sometime in the fall time of the year, there's a wide range of different techniques that are going to work. Some of my favorite lures for the 50s are jigs, like full-size jigs. Crankbaits work really good, a wide variety of crankbaits, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, shaky heads, some swim baits still work pretty good there. But overall, if you gave me one lure to fish when the water temperature is in the 50s, it's going to be a full-size jig. Quality fish lure. Jig and a spinnerbait, super hard to beat within the 50s. Now, when the water temperatures are in the 60s, that's usually right around the time a lot of the fish are starting to spawn in the spring. And it's usually sometime in October or November, depending upon your part of the country, 2 different times. When the water temperature is in the 60s in the springtime of the year, this is when I go to almost strictly soft plastics. Bass don't like to chase a lure very much when the water's in the 60s in the springtime of the year. So 60-some degree water temperature in the spring, to me, it's all about wacky rigs, shaky heads, drop shots, Texas rig worms, jigs, any type of lure I can fish on the bottom. Swing head jig, all good. I bet that 95% of my fishing when the water's in the 60s is on those bottom bouncing lures in the springtime. In the fall time of the year, it's a little bit different. Probably the top lures in the fall time when it's in the 60s is going to be a shallow running crankbait, like a square bill crankbait. Top waters can be really good. Probably spinnerbait a little bit, but man, top waters and crankbaits are going to be really, really good when they're in the 60s. Now, when they're in the 70s, you're starting to talk about post-spawn in the spring, and you're starting to talk about, late summer, early fall, that type of deal. In the springtime of the year, when the water temperatures in the 70s, this is when I'm going to. Some of my favorite stuff includes like a swim jig, a spinnerbait for shad spawns. Sometimes a deep diving crankbait can work really good, later in the pre-spawn. Topwaters, like a walking topwater, can be really good. And any type of shallow pitching and flipping bait, creature baits, jigs, anything like that. But when the water temperatures in the 70s, in May and early June, probably that deep diving crankbait, super hard to beat. It's a really good time of year to catch them. And if you have a lake that just has a lot of shallow fish, it's really hard to beat that swim jig. Now, water temperatures in the 80s, you're talking about it's maxed out in the summertime. This is like usually the maximum temperature that you're going to have throughout the course of the year. And again, there's a lot of different things that could possibly work here, but some of my favorites when it's really warm like that is the Texas rig worm, Texas rig creature bait. Preferably like a Texas rig worm. A Texas rig worm in hot water is really, really good. I use a lot of like 9 and 10 inch worms when it's really hot, can be really good. Topwater can be really good early and late in the day. Square bill crankbaits can be good if you have some type of off-colored water clarity. And if you're fishing a little bit deeper water, like a Carolina rig or, maybe a football head jig is going to be really good. But that's just sort of a brief synopsis about some of the best lure categories versus the water temperatures. Again, until you tie it into the water clarity with the water temperature, you can't really dial it into specifically as far as the type of lure and the type of colors, but at least that gets you started. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.